You know, I prefer stories that have good guys and bad guys because it's easy to find somebody to root for. That's not necessarily the case in our top local story going on with the Chiefs and the Royals, the Vote Yes, the Vote No campaign. It's also not the case. Don't worry, we're going to get to that. It's only 6:05 here. We're just getting the show started. But it's also the case with this national story that I want to spend a few minutes on that is driving me nuts because I don't like anybody involved. I really don't. I don't have sympathy for anybody involved. I don't care about anybody involved, but it's got me all bent out of shape. And that's the story about the former Republican National Committee chairwoman, Ronna McDaniel, who was hired by NBC News to be basically a talking head on TV. Now, I saw her on Fox News all the time, and she was very average, very mediocre, not very compelling, not much of a personality, didn't have much to say. But when you're part of the bubble, you get hired. You get jobs. And by the way, all she did was oversee losses. She was, as Trump would call, a stone-cold loser. Now, of course, Trump endorsed her remaining as chair last year, but that's neither here nor there. She's not compelling. She's not interesting. She oversaw loss after loss after loss for her party, but somehow that gets you paid gigs on places like NBC. Well, NBC News cut ties with her like days after they hired her. Why? Because there was growing backlash inside of NBC News from people like Chuck Bowl-Cut Todd, from the Rachel Maddows, from the Joy Reids of the world, all the way on down from there. They did not want Ronna McDaniel being a talking head on their network. And that says a lot more about them than it does Ronna McDaniel, who I don't care for. But we are now in an environment where if somebody shows up and starts working supposedly alongside you as a colleague, if you don't agree with them, if you don't like them, if you don't believe in their politics, well, guess what? They'll get you fired. And why does it seem like that happens so much more on one side versus the other? You know, I think about myself and I think about the show that we put together here every day. Quinton Lucas comes on this show on a weekly basis. We have had on Emmanuel Cleaver, Sharice Davids, Laura Kelly. And we'll continue to do it. Not because it's about me. I probably disagree with most of those folks on the majority of things, but I don't really care about that. It's about having conversations that move stories forward, that benefit the region at large. It's good. That's what we want. That's what we should want. But NBC News and the power players there and the supposed journalists, and trust me, they're not. I use my air quotes when I say that. They don't care about that. That's not important to them. Now, of course, they mask it in this cloak of moral superiority where they get to claim that they are on the moral high ground and they will not work alongside or interview or do anything with Ronna McDaniel because, well, she played a role in Donald Trump trying to overthrow the federal government. And then there was this last night. Last night on MSNBC, this was Joy Reid and Rachel Maddow. Now, I'm doing everything I can to go to heaven. If I don't make it and I end up in hell, I can't envision a worse hell than just sound bites of Rachel Maddow and Joy Reid. That will be my eternal hell if I don't make it to the other side. Just bear with me here. Let's play a little bit of this.
Our chairman of the NBC Universal News Group, Cesar Conde, who we both know very well, he sent a memo that we all got as employees here, rescinding the hiring of Ronna Romney McDaniel. And I know I felt very strongly about it. I know you felt very strongly about it. I think everyone from 4 o'clock on, from Nicole all the way to midnight, we all felt very strongly and said so on our respective shows yesterday. And I just have to say, when somebody does the right thing, I feel like it should be acknowledged as publicly as we acknowledged our outrage. And so I know how I feel about it. I am grateful to Cesar for actually making the right decision. I think it was the right decision, but I want to get your take as well.
Oh, well, thank you for asking me about it. I still feel like a little it always feels wrong to talk about things, in the company
Agreed.
as if it's news. And it's just this. It's not the way either you or I are wired.
all.
I know, but I will just say that journalists are a fractious bunch. And in our big company with all sorts of different journalistic entities, you have all sorts of different people working in this business, doing all sorts of different kinds of work. And to see the essentially unanimous feeling among all the journalists in this building and all the sort of senior staff and all the producers and everybody in this building about this was one thing. But then to see the executives and the leadership hear that and respond to it and be willing to change course based on their respect for us and hearing what we argued, I have deep respect for that. I mean what I said on the air last night on my show, that I think that acknowledging that you might have gotten something wrong is a real sign of strength, a real show of strength. And I think it's a show of strength, and I think it's a show of respect for the people who work at this company and who make us who we are. That leadership was willing to change on this, and I'm grateful to them. It's not about hiring a Republican. It's not even about hiring somebody who has Trump ties. This was a really specific case because of Ms. McDaniels and her involvement in the election interference stuff. And I'm grateful that our leadership was willing to do the bold, strong, resilient thing.
The bold, strong, resilient thing, says Rachel Maddow, to fire somebody that we don't like because of their politics at NBC News. Let's not forget, Joy Reid lied about her blog being hacked to save her job. Remember that? There was like anti-Semitism all over her blog. And she said, oh, that wasn't me. And she promotes daily lies about racism in America. Rachel Maddow earned $40 million a year in large part because of the fame and the fortune and the ratings that she amassed while lying about Donald Trump and Russia. Not the two best ladies to be talking about lies, John Anthony.
If I were on Wheel of Fortune and the puzzle was a blank blank hole, I think I could solve that.
I think I could too.
Right. Based on that.
It's funny you say that because this morning I sent that clip to a guy I grew up with who works at NBC News. And I said, I don't know how you deal with this bleep. I really don't. You're walking in the hallways every day dealing with this complete garbage and these complete buffoons. Of course, I use different words that I can't say right now unless I want to violate FCC regulations, but neither here nor there. The fact that the top national news media story of the week is about a former Republican chairwoman getting fired by NBC News because the people at NBC News didn't like her and her politics is everything that is wrong with our current political climate. It is much more likely to come from one side over the other, and it is the thing that will continue to divide this country during a critical election year. It's things like this that are going to do it.
Is this the part where I bring up Donna Brazile, or are you going to do that later?
Oh, yeah, sure.
George
go for it.
Stephanopoulos?
Yeah.
Claire McCaskill?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes, absolutely.
They seem to be employed.
Yeah, they do. Donna Brazile, that's right. And she was at Fox for a little bit, don't forget.
Yeah.
So you're right. No doubt about it. But you know what? That's just the way they want to play the game. They only want to hear from the people that make them feel safe. I'll never forget the one time that I was asked early on in my tenure here to be on MSNBC. And then they did a little digging. They asked me what I wanted to say on the topic. And they were like, yeah, we're going to take a rain check on that. Okay. and that was, 6-7 years ago now. Coming up next on KCMO. John Anthony got his flyer here. He got his flyer. I've got it in my hand.
Yes, sir.
Vote yes, they tell him. Vote yes.
8.5 by 11, 8 by 11.5, whatever that is. Standard size.
Oh, yeah. This is a big old boy. I'm staring right at Patrick Mahomes' face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is someone's
heavy stock to keep that ink.
Yeah.
Two-sided.
Yep. Let's dive into this. Tell you where we're at right now as we get set for next Tuesday here on KCMO Talk Radio. And where is some of our favorite city council members like Bike Boy Bunch? They're nowhere to be found. We'll dive into it next on KCMO 95.7 FM and stream us on the KCMO Talk Radio app. It's a heck of a flyer I've got here. Sent to the John Anthony household. 8.5 by 11. Keep the Chiefs and the Royals in Jackson County. Make a plan to vote yes on question 1, Tuesday, April 2nd. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. Right in the middle of this thing, Salvi as well is on the back of this. Big mailer John got here. He brought in this morning.
Yep.
Let's see what else we got here on the other side. We've got early voting locations here. Looks like you got a couple of options. Make a plan to vote. You got your plan there, John? You got a plan to vote?
I have a plan. I do.
Right.
I have a plan.
Our schedule makes it easy to make a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Says if you're eligible for absentee voting, you can absentee vote in person as well. Vote on Election Day, Tuesday, April 2nd. Polls are open 6A to 7P. Visit the Jackson County, Kansas City Board of Elections. Not a ton of propaganda on here. Just kind of saying vote yes means a better deal with no new taxes. They're, of course, using that no new taxes line. I've seen some questionable flyers, but this is pretty harmless. I'm not bothered by this one.
Rather factual about locations, times, dates.
Yeah, get out, go vote, keep the Royals and Chiefs in Jackson County. A lot of red and not a lot of blue, as we noted here on this flyer.
Interesting, yeah, like maybe a no vote would have doom and gloom and an outline of Arrowhead with a thunderstorm. I'm just thinking of that PAC money type commercials we hear.
No, this is pretty reasonable, actually.
Yeah.
This is not the craziest flyer I've seen.
I noted the preponderance of red. Maybe it's got a good deal on the color at the printing place. I don't know.
Hey, man, you got to save this. We'll be, showing grandkids and everything else this thing in, 20, 30 years. This could be worth something.
I'm heading out to the ballpark. If I ever rented the guys on the backside, it'd be cool to have their autographs on there.
That's right. Yeah, bump into Salvi. Maybe Taylor can sign one of these, too, one day,
Yeah.
Imagine they broke her out for the back of this flyer. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, my luck, though, I'll have Steve Bono. Oh, well.
Oh,
it's
man.
got an autograph on it.
Oh, that's funny. So the flyers, if you're a Jackson County resident, you're getting the flyers left and right. They're popping up in your mailbox. You're seeing the ads. You're hearing them here on KCMO and elsewhere on radio and TV. But where are your local elected leaders at on this? Well, KCUR, your national panhandler radio outlet here in Kansas City, give us money. They reached out to every elected official in Kansas City and also in Jackson County. And they asked them for a response on whether or not they plan to vote for the stadium sales tax on April 2nd. And the overwhelming feedback National Panhandler Radio got was no response. Now, why would that be? Well, that's because the elected leaders don't want to be on the wrong side, the perceived wrong side on this one. The polling is shoddy on issues and topics like this. So they don't want to be on the wrong side. So Mayor Lucas, he's basically a yes. He said as much on this show and elsewhere that he's basically a yes vote. KCUR is acting like he said that on Steve Kraski's show. We've asked him about that for weeks, and he's basically implied he's a yes vote. So the idea that, Steve Kraski's show is breaking news before us is comical. That's not true. Mayor said as much on this show for weeks now. Kevin O'Neill didn't respond. Nathan Willett, 1st District up north, said, I can't vote anyway. Leave me out of it. No response from Lindsey French up north and Wes Rogers up north. They didn't get back to him. Kevin O'Neill as well. Then you get to some of the folks south of the river. Melissa Robinson, 3rd District, saying, I'm waiting on the results from the Community Benefits Agreement and a clear ask from the city. Well, there's a week left. What are you waiting for in a clear ask from the city? What is that all about? Melissa Patterson-Hazley says, I don't want to mix my actions as a voter with my actions as an elected official. I get that, but that's kind of the job sometimes. So just tell us how you're voting. Crispin Rea, 4th District at large, did not respond. Eric Bike Boy Bunch, I'm staying out of this one for now. See, this is a tough spot for a Bike Boy Bunch kind of a character. Because the KC tenants, they want him desperately in their corner. And they, of course, vote no. But then the economic development goobers desperately want him on their side, too. So he's a little bit stuck between a rock and a hard place here, as are many of these folks. No response from Daryl Curls, Rihanna Park-Shaw, Andrea Boo said no comment, the smartest thing she said in a long time, and Jonathan Duncan saying that he will vote no. He's the only one on the city council who is a no vote, and he is a diehard KC tenants guy. For the Jackson County Legislature, Frank White, no vote. Jalen Anderson, no response. Manny Abarca, who's dropping his pants looking for a CNN interview last I checked. He is a vote yes. Donna Payton, 2nd District at large, also voting yes. Vanessa Husky, 2nd District, voting yes. No response from Megan Marshall. I'm pretty sure she's a no. Charlie Franklin, 3rd District, will vote yes. Darren McGee, Jeannie Lauer, and our buddy Sean Smith all did not respond. And that would be my recommendation when it comes to KCUR. Just don't respond. Do not give them any time in your day. Now, at the end of yesterday's show, I told you that something could be brewing between the Chiefs, the Royals, the city, the Vote Yes campaign. I had a brief idea on what it was. I wasn't totally sure, but I had some ideas as to what it might be. And then the mayor of Kansas City, Quinton Lucas, put this out on his X page yesterday. He was getting railed on by some people on X, formerly Twitter, for not really committing either way on yes or no, although he is a yes vote. He's basically said as much on the show. So people are blasting him. All the lefties are getting on him. And here's part of what he said. He said, I've been saying the same thing about not blocking Oak Street or taking over East Crossroads businesses the entire time. He said, I think the substantive point raised by businesses impacted is important to voters and important to me, which is why I am yet to endorse one way or another, but hope to see progress soon. Well, that was written yesterday at 11:13 in the morning. What does soon mean? Like, we're up against it. We're voting now. Voting is happening. But I said to you, I thought that something could happen at the 11th hour here with the Royals' plans. And then the mayor writes this yesterday, an hour and a half after I told you this, saying that he is hopeful to see progress soon when it comes to businesses impacted by the Royals' plans of going downtown. What might that mean? Could there be a change of plans on the horizon is this even the 11th hour? I don't know what you would call it at this point. I mean, voting's underway. People are going to be at the ballot box today. And then, of course, Election Day is on Tuesday. I'm not sure how much more 11th hour you could get, but that is a signal to me from the mayor that maybe there are some tweaks coming here at the very last minute. And we're going to have it covered for you on KCMO. And tomorrow, I will be out at Kauffman Stadium for opening day. We're going to have a big show. All the heavy hitters are supposed to be joining us. Hopefully they don't bail, because it is going to be one of our most important shows in a very long time. Day 2, morning 2, as the sun starts to rise here, obviously, across Kansas City. It's already up on the East Coast and in Baltimore, where the bridge collapse, the Francis Scott Key bridge collapse, continues to be the top story when you're looking at what's happening around the country. And the way that this happened, the cargo ship blasting into that bridge, and the details that have come out that we did not have at this time yesterday are pretty incredible. And to me, the fact that we have law enforcement that likely saved who knows how many, I don't want to say hundreds, but certainly dozens of lives as the Mayday went out from that cargo ship. And law enforcement was able to stop people from crossing that bridge. Saved undoubtedly countless numbers of lives. Now, we do know as of this morning, of course, 6 construction workers are now presumed dead following that collapse. And that is obviously 6 families grieving right now. But it could have been so much worse. Now, that being said, that has not stopped grand conspiracy theories from coming out on this bridge collapse. I mean, it is insane, some of the stuff that is coming out. And frankly, it's coming out from a lot of wackos on the right. I don't know how else to put it. I mean, I hate to break it to you guys, but like, tragedies happen. Not everything is a grand conspiracy theory from like the global elites trying to create inflation and a new world order. Sometimes human beings just screw up and equipment fails. I know. It's like,
talk about a bombshell.
What are we doing here? No, that does happen, and it happens since the beginning of time. But like over the last 3 years now, anything bad or tragic that happens is somehow the fault of a small cabal of people who are out to get the rest of us. No, there's human error and there's technological failures. And that's what this is. But, there's a lot of money to be made in trying to convince you of something that is just not true. There's a lot of attention to be gotten by trying to convince you of something that is just not true. There's a lot of rabbit holes to go down where you can sit there and say, you can't answer this one 110%. It's just not true. So now every time something bad happens, here's what happens. And I hate that this is where everything goes now. But you'll have factions, I'm not going to say the right, but factions of the right who think it's a conspiracy theory to get us all killed. And then you have a large part of the left who's like, if only we had communism, this wouldn't have happened. And then we just end up in this stupid conversation instead of just being like, okay, what happened? Why did it happen? How do we prevent it from happening again? And then how do we get this bridge built back, or a temporary bridge built back up as quickly as humanly possible? Like, that's it. Let's just view it like that. Now, do I have confidence in the people in charge? No, I don't. Not at all. I know Joe Biden was speaking yesterday towards the end of the Ray Stevens show, airing 10 to noon here on KCMO Talk Radio. And at one point, Joe ended up saying this about the Francis Scott Key Bridge outside of Baltimore.
At about 1:30, a container ship struck the Francis Scott Key Bridge, which I've been over many, many times commuting from the state of Delaware in our train or by car.
I looked at that bridge a lot yesterday before it got knocked down, and I don't see any way to get a train across that bridge. I could be crazy, but I didn't see that. And then you had sweet Pete Buttigieg, Mayor Pete, who literally has no experience in this line of work. And somehow he is the transportation secretary. How? Why? Well, we know why. But how? I have no idea. It's unbelievable that this guy, who doesn't know lick about transportation, is the freaking transportation secretary in the greatest country in the history of mankind. It's just truly stunning that a man whose qualifications include being the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, 1/5 the size of Kansas City, and he's in charge of the freaking Department of Transportation. And we got to turn to this goober to figure out when the bridge is going to be built back up. There is, by the way, a lot of goods that come underneath that bridge. So the fear right now is that there could be temporarily a quick uptick in inflation, at least in certain parts of the country, because the amount of cargo that comes in and out of that harbor is astronomical. There's an Amazon warehouse, that comes in and out of that harbor a lot, and there's a lot of things that get pushed around the country that need access to that part of the country to get in and out. And right now they don't have it, obviously. So they've got to get this thing moving, get that thing cleared out, get a temporary bridge in place, and get these cargo ships moving back and forth in and out of the harbor. And they don't have it right now. And Eric Schmidt, by the way, the Missouri U.S. Senator, he was on last night with Laura Ingraham, and he said this about Mayor Pete and his job as transportation secretary.
And Pete Buttigieg, by the way, I'm on the Commerce Committee, has refused to show up to answer any tough questions. Other department heads and cabinet members have. He refuses to. Maybe it's because he spent most of his time talking about racist roads or environmental justice or DEI trainings. And this is all happening sort of under his watch. He didn't show up at East Palestine because I don't know why. But the fact of the matter is we're not building semiconductor facilities, Laura, because they can't find enough ex-convicts to hire under the criteria. We're not laying enough broadband under the Commerce Department because they don't have, these subcontractors haven't submitted climate action plans. They're pushing these EV mandates, which is hollowing out our middle class, and people are losing jobs and they're going to China. So again, a misalignment of priorities from this administration. So when they come, today to talk about safety, it's hard for people to take them seriously because that's just not been their priority. It's been, again, this sort of woke agenda over the nuts and bolts of what their jobs actually are supposed to be.
That was Missouri U.S. Senator Eric Schmidt last night on Laura Ingraham's show on Fox News. Now, this morning, speaking of Mayor Pete, he told CNN here in the last 18 minutes, I'm just seeing this headline, Mayor Pete telling CNN, if any private party is responsible and accountable for this, then they will be held accountable. Interesting. Right out of the gates, just over 24 hours removed from this, the finger is being pointed at, of course, the private sector. Somehow they're going to blame some corporation that was, in their estimations, cutting corners. The fat cats were getting rich. And in the meantime, they were blasting cargo ships in the bridges. And if only the government had more power over our transportation, over, basically everything that gets moved in and out and around this country, this would have never happened. If only Pete got his choo-choo trains like he wants, his high-speed rails around the country, this wouldn't have happened. That's what they're laying the foundation for right now. Because he just told that to CNN here in the last 15, 20 minutes. I'm looking at the update right in front of me. How about this? How about you guys fix the damn bridge? Don't play the politics. Leave it out of the picture for now. I'm not sure how you can play politics on either side with a cargo ship crashing into a bridge and 6 people dying, but, never let a crisis go to waste, right? Fix the bridge. Clean it up. Fix the bridge. Get something temporary up there and get this thing moving again. Because there could be an inflation spike in the wake of all this. Now, people are asking this question, and I want your help at 913-408-7957, but please don't get me fired when I say I'm asking for your help on this. You and I both know there is not a chance in hell that when this bridge is rebuilt, they name it, they give it the same name. There's no way they're going to name it the Francis Scott Key Bridge, right? We all agree on that? There's no way they're naming the bridge after the guy who wrote the Star-Spangled Banner. The people in charge hate the Star-Spangled Banner. They want you to kneel for the anthem. They don't even want the anthem to be played. So what are they going to rename the bridge? That's my question to you. Wrong or right answers only at 913-408-7957. We'll do it after Bill O'Reilly's morning update on KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM. You know as well as I do, right? There's no chance in hell this bridge is getting renamed the Francis Scott Key Bridge. There is just no chance that the city of Baltimore and the state of Maryland and the federal government are going to rebuild this bridge, have the dog and pony show, and rename it after the guy who wrote the Star-Spangled Banner. You know that, John.
Well, it's a new bridge in a new era, Pete.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
New era.
Take down the statues, take down the bridges. That's part of the grand conspiracy theory, by the way, which I'm making fun of and have made fun of all morning. But there's also this thought of like, well, obviously they took down the bridge named after the guy who wrote the Star-Spangled Banner. It's like, no, just bad luck. Sucks. They got to build the new bridge. And they're definitely not going to rename it the Francis Scott Key Bridge. There's just no chance. Not a shot in hell that happens.
How about the Biden-Buttigieg train bridge?
Yeah.
Something there with trains.
That's a little bit of a tongue twister.
Yeah, that's too much. That doesn't flow.
Biden-Buttigieg Bridge. That's. I'll feel for the traffic reporters in Baltimore trying to do that one. 913-408-7957. Try to not get me fired over the next few minutes if you could, please. 913-408-7957. I'll get to your calls and your texts as well here on KCMO. Let's start with Evan in Kansas City. Evan, what do you got for me, brother?
Well, I was thinking, watch out, bridge.
Watch out, bridge. Is that what you're going to call it?
No, that's what I was thinking. I understand that it was a, tough time for when it happened, and my hearts go out to all those families. But, sometimes you just need a little humor to warm up and get you back and going.
Yeah, absolutely, my man. Humor cures a lot of things, brother. Thank you very much. 913-408-7957. Glenn, what do you got for me on a bridge name?
Pete, I've actually got 9 different names. I think Biden could actually use this as a campaign fundraising event. Name that bridge. How about the Pete Buttigieg Bridge, the Sleepy Joe Biden Bridge, the I took the train over this bridge, the Senile Joe Bridge, the Baltimore Bridge that distracted Americans, the Distraction Bridge, the invasion bridge, the incompetent DOT bridge, the don't let a crisis go to waste bridge.
The don't let a crisis go to waste bridge. I think that's my favorite one that you've got there on that list there.
All right.
I like that.
1-800-CALL-JOE. Place your bid and also give $50 to help Joe either go to a nursing home that has a dementia unit or get reelected.
Oh, thank you very much, Glenn, north of Kansas City, 913-408-7957.
How about the Cal Ripken Jr. Bridge?
You know, there's something that would be universally beloved.
He's white, though.
Yeah, you're right. You can't have a straight white guy get a bridge named after him anymore. That's no longer allowed. So, like, what about Freddie Gray? Freddie Gray was a young man who was killed back in 2015 after he was arrested by the Baltimore Police Department. He sustained fatal injuries during his arrest. He died, and there were all those rallies on behalf of Freddie Gray. It was kind of like George Floyd before George Floyd in Baltimore. Now, some of you are saying, what about St. George Floyd? Name the bridge after him. They may want to do that too. I don't know. I'm sure that's something that people are going to bring up. Who knows what's going to happen in Baltimore? I don't know, but these are just ideas that are being tossed out there.
How about the Generald Wilson Bridge?
There we go. The Generald Wilson Bridge. That guy knows how to sing a national anthem. Now, he's a Missourian, so I'm not sure that's going to work, but I like where you're at. Some are suggesting, what about Ray Lewis? Ray Lewis is not a murderer bridge. I suppose that could work as well, even though, he is. But those are all options that could be on the table. John?
I'm just going to go basic and call it the 695 bridge. 695. This whole notion of naming stuff gets crazy, doesn't it?
It does. It does. That's why we're going to a world where sports teams are not going to be named after, people or animals or anything, because everyone is offended perpetually by everything.
Well, we named Kemper Arena.
Yeah.
For Crosby Kemper, but now it's not that.
Yeah, now it's not.
Thanks.
Maybe they should sell the naming rights to the bridge. Maybe states and cities can start making money off of having the Hy-Vee Bridge.
Sure,
what about that?
Sure.
Right? You sell the naming rights to a bridge, and you're off to the races. That's an option for them.
You can name the field inside the stadium, so you can have the GEHA field at Arrowhead Stadium at the Truman Sports Complex.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of names there. We can get it at the bridge over the harbor, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, you could really have a field day with that.
All kinds of stuff.
You could really go off your rocker there. You could have every exit off of the bridge have its own sponsor attached to it. Kind of like when you do the highway deal, right? Sponsor a highway, stretch a highway with a company, pick up the trash along the highway. There you go. You got Generald Wilson queued up for me there. Speaking of the Star-Spangled Banner, let's roll our man Generald Wilson, the best anthem I've heard right here at Arrowhead Stadium.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, see that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Generald Wilson, Arrowhead Stadium. No one does it better. If I become dictator one day, he's getting a bridge. We got updates on 2 union deals in town. They're scams next. They wanted people to celebrate this. And count me as one who is not going to do it. Yesterday, oh, man, these people are so out of touch. Yesterday at KCUR, National Panhandler Radio here in Kansas City. They announced that they are, or their staff, the majority of eligible on- and off-air staff at KCUR are taking the first step in ensuring that we are able to secure a more active role in the shared future of this organization. They're unionizing. They got their fists up, baby. Let's go. Woo! That's what they're doing at KCUR. They write here, we, the undersigned employees of KCUR, including Classic KC, Kansas News Service, blah, 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 are hereby stating our intention to unionize through the Communication Workers of America. Over the decades that KCUR has operated, our work has made this organization a beacon of truth and integrity. You have got to be kidding me. Holy.
Such a cute soundbite.
You got to be. I almost made Mark hit the dump button because I was reading that on the fly. I didn't realize that line was in there. A beacon of truth and integrity? Sorry, I just threw up in my mouth a little bit. Oh.
How dare you?
As KCUR continues to grow and develop to better serve the community, we seek a more active role in the shared future of this organization. Through our efforts, we wish to secure improved, more stable working conditions, competitive pay, and benefits that accurately reflect the media market, and better job protection in the increasingly volatile market of journalism. There is no doubt that media is changing very quickly. Media is changing rapidly. It's happening in radio, in TV, online, digitally, YouTube, whatever you watch, it is changing fast. You have to stay ahead of the curve. You have to stay ahead of the trend. You have to make yourself valuable in the current climate. If not, you will be left behind. And what is their answer? At Woke KCUR, their answer is to put their fists up in the air, wear their 7 face diapers, and form a union. That's their answer.
To protect their tax dollar salaries.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're going to have to sell a few more coffee mugs and tote bags and Moody Blues at the Red Rocks DVDs during your membership drives, I think.
Don't forget about the pins, too.
There
they got
you go.
some fancy pins they roll out once in a while as well. Our existing ecosystem at KCUR is a bright spot in the world of public media.
Our infrastructure, Pete.
Oh, gosh, spare me the BS that is spewing out of this operation. Holy cow. It's not the only BS spewing out of there. They spew a lot of BS every day, but this is bottom of the barrel. We recognize the existing work of our lead team and management. We believe the best way to accomplish these goals is by having a true collective voice in the organization. Continuing to work to become a more equitable, community-facing organization, but those efforts should also be extended internally. My goodness, how long does it take you to write something that just says, we're unionizing, we're a bunch of hacks, and we want more money? All this stuff about equity and community facing and all this other nonsense is just that. It's just complete and utter BS.
Well, the notion of a competitive salary, they obviously haven't applied for anything here.
Yeah.
To understand
Yes.
how competitive they are there.
Well, here's the thing. That's I would like to know. If you are as valuable as you think you are, the marketplace will recognize that. Right? That's it.
Yep.
That's what this is really about. I mean, I've tried to hire people for this radio station, some who have experience at KCUR. And it was for low-level positions that we had, and this is going back a few years. You know, people that I was looking for part-time help here at our radio station, and they were actually doing better there. So it's like, what is that really worth? Well, stop crying. Stop complaining. If you don't like it, go do something else. No one's sitting around feeling sorry for you. If you think your skill set, this is very simple for anybody. If you think your skill set is worth more than what you've got right now, then go challenge the status quo, go try to find something else, and if it doesn't work out, then that's just kind of how it goes. I don't know what else to tell you right now.
$15 an hour, isn't that the going rate?
Yeah, that's what we were told.
What you usually get asked for.
They loved $15 an hour. But now, after inflation, courtesy of Joe, they're not big fans of that anymore, I guess. Now it's 25. Now it's 100. Just make it $100 an hour, would you please?
Well, they're going for the 32-hour thing, going for the Bernie plan.
That's
probably.
Right. They want the Bernie Sanders plan, the 32-hour work weeks as well.
Or the 40-hour pay.
Yeah. We will build
at a
this
competitive rate.
union by working together, educating each other, and uplifting our collective voices. Oh, my gosh. Everything's collective this, collective
Uplifting
that.
collective voices. What is this, choir practice? Now the altos. The crap, the verbiage is just ridiculous. It's like marketing 101 for commie talk.
Yep, it is. And it's very much on brand for these clowns. So anyway, just another reason to not bother. So they're unionizing. Now, also on the union front, by the way, this came down yesterday. The SEIU Local 1 Missouri Division is backing yes on question 1. Labor organizations are supporting this movement. This is coming from the Yes on Question 1 Jackson County X account. They get a big endorsement. SEIU Local 1 Missouri Division backing Yes on Question 1. Labor organizations are supporting this movement because they know it's the best deal for all of Jackson County. Today's a great day for the working people who have made sure that the Royals game day experience lives up to the standards fans expect, said Chris Rack, SEIU Local 1 Director for Missouri and Southern Illinois. Election Day is April 2nd. Vote yes. That's, of course, the Service Employees International Union. They got about 2 million members in healthcare, the public sector, and property services. So they are all in on the yes side. Well, if only it was that easy to buy off a few union voters and get this thing done. I'm not convinced it is. You know, this is such a weird election because typically you'd have the KC tenants folks, you know, the commies themselves, in solidarity with their brothers and sisters and they-thems in the unions. But that's not happening right now. The tenants are dead set against this thing. More conservative folks are in part against it just because of how the process has played out, and they're also upset about the tax situation in Jackson County at large. But then you've got union folks starting to come out and saying, rah, rah, vote yes. So you've got, 6 days to go until April 2nd. And it is a total coin flip right now. But John Anthony got his flyer yesterday in the mail that says keeps the Royals and Chiefs in Jackson County. Vote yes on Tuesday. Now, there's not a ton of propaganda in this. It says vote yes on question 1. That means a better deal with no new taxes. Now, that, of course, has been a debatable line, as we've talked about for the last several weeks. But, you know, that's the line they're going with, no new taxes. This is not the most controversial flyer, though, I've seen on this. There's a flyer going around that many of you have been sending to me on social media that is not nearly as accurate as this flyer I'm holding here that John got in the mail yesterday. And it's fear-mongering in the most extreme way that we've seen yet around the possibility of the Chiefs leaving Arrowhead Stadium. We'll play that, or I'll share that with you coming up on KCMO. And also, I mentioned this yesterday, that there could be some big news coming down today when it comes to the Royals' plans. I'll have an update for you on that you're not going to get anywhere else in town next on KCMO 95.7 FM and stream us on the KCMO Talk Radio app. So here's what I know. Just getting this information here in the last 15 minutes or so. In the 8 or 9 o'clock hour this morning, there will be a big update related to the stadium plans of the Royals. That is coming down this morning. I will share this on social media, on my Twitter and Facebook pages. That way you can see it there. But there will be a big update related to the stadium plans for the Royals downtown. So keep an eye on this. It could happen before we're off the air at 10 o'clock this morning on KCMO. And I think we're going to see some 11th hour tweaks, shall we say, John.
I sort of wanted to be smart, Alec, but I'm afraid it's going to be true. So.
Okay. No. What are you questioning me? You questioning me? What's going on here?
It's like, please don't be 9 concerts by Garth Brooks.
No.
Something like that.
No.
Hey, Metallica with Guns N' Roses at the new stadium. It's you and 22,000 of your closest friends.
No. That's not it at all.
Okay.
It's not related to any events, entertainment. It's
good.
I believe what's going to happen here is it is going to be structural in nature. So stay tuned to what we've got going on 95.7 FM and we'll have you updated all morning long. And if it happens after we're off the air during Ray Stevens' show, we'll make sure we break it on his show this morning. So that's going to be happening at some point today. I think it could happen as soon as 9 o'clock this morning.
Now, I've kind of lost the players here. Can we bring the timeline up to date to the point where this announcement comes? I guess I'm not really clear exactly how the ballpark sets in the crossroads and all that kind of stuff, and so it seems to be debated. So I'm not sure what plan we're working with.
The big controversy is crossing Oak Street, right?
Okay.
So I think it will be something, could be something around Oak Street.
So, okay.
That's the controversial part. I mean, obviously the location itself is controversial.
Sure.
But the controversial part within the controversial selection is crossing Oak Street. So I think it'll potentially have something to do with that Oak Street corridor and how they may adjust things around Oak Street.
All right. That would be what? The east side of the
east side of the ballpark.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So
Gotcha.
stay tuned. Stay tuned. We'll have more for you here this morning on KCMO. Now, we told you about the John Anthony flyer he got in the mail. Pretty harmless flyer. Vote yes, blah, blah, blah. Better deal, no new taxes. There's another flyer going around, though, that I don't know if you've gotten. John probably hasn't gotten this one. You would have shared this with us. But here's what it says on one side of the flyer. Don't let our memories at Arrowhead be taken from us forever. Boy, talk about fear-mongering, huh?
There's the one with the thunderclouds and everything that I was talking about.
That's the one you were
darkness.
waiting for.
Yeah.
So this is for the vote yes side. It says here, don't let our memories at Arrowhead be taken from us forever. This is our only chance to keep the Chiefs in Jackson County. That's on one side of the flyer.
Wow.
And on the other side of the flyer, it says here, the future of Arrowhead is at stake. This is our only chance to keep the Chiefs at Arrowhead. If question 1 fails on April 2nd, we are giving other cities a golden opportunity to steal the Chiefs from us, which they will take. It also says Arrowhead has been the Chiefs' home for generations. If we want the next generation of fans to experience the same memories we have, we must vote yes on question 1.
I'll show you some of mine from 1984. The 2 and 14 teams.
Yeah, that's right.
I got a few memories to sell you there.
Yeah. So that is, they didn't send this one to you, John, because they know that you wouldn't fall for this nonsense. You just get pissed.
They knew they probably checked season ticket holders in the mid 80s, and so I was like, don't send any of them about memory.
So they knew better than to send this one. They're not wasting $1 on this one going to your house.
No, apparently not.
Yeah.
I do note with interest that it all seems to be Arrowhead Chiefs.
Yeah.
When that's actually not the main focus of the whole dang deal.
Well, that's exactly what they're doing here. They're making it very Chiefs-centric. And they're making it about the back-to-back Super Bowl champs. And by golly, if you don't vote yes, those memories are going to be taken away forever. Listen, I have not endorsed either side of this. So I need to reiterate that every time I go to talk about this. But we're in a world and we're in a climate where if you vote yes or you vote no, that's on you. I don't much care. I see pros to yes. I see pros to no. That being said, anyone who's trying to tell you that the future of Arrowhead is at stake coming up next Tuesday is full of crap, is lying. And this is where we're at now. We are in the scumbag politics, lane of this election coming down the home stretch. This is much closer than the yes side ever thought it would be. Whether that's right or wrong doesn't really matter to me. I don't have a dog in the fight as a non-Jackson County voter. However, this is the kind of fear-mongering politics that is now being played here on one side of this equation. I don't believe for a second, and there's nothing to suggest, that if the no vote wins out next week, the Chiefs are like, well, we tried. We're going to Kansas. You know what? We might just actually go to, let's go to Austin, Texas. Let's go to Salt Lake City. We had a nice run here, but we're done. That's not happening. That's not. That's a bluff. That's a scare tactic. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't vote yes. There are compelling reasons to vote yes. But vote yes because you're accepting of the 3/8 cent sales tax, you're okay with where this deal has been, and you want it to continue. Not because you are getting scared into this idea that the Chiefs are leaving Kansas City. That is utter nonsense.
Yeah, I feel like people are going to vote their hearts. I don't feel like too many people are convinced by this, but maybe I'm wrong. I kind of know the way I'm voting, and I'm listening to the other side, but there's really nothing there compelling. And so I'm not really saying, yeah, they got a point.
How are you voting, by the way?
Well, I was going to announce that Monday, but I'm voting yes.
You're voting yes?
Yeah.
Okay. John's a yes, and he's the only one right now on the show that is on either side of this. So there you go. The John Anthony.
I'm voting yes for a reason the teams can't say. It's like in this era of politics, there's no marketing plan, no politician that can unite the city like a winning and championship team does. And I think that's more important now than it was in 1970 and 1985 when we had our first two football and baseball championships. So it's been exciting to live in this time, but it's certainly been very much needed in a town with a very high crime rate.
Yeah, they can't say that.
No,
You're
they
right.
can't. They can't. But that's just something I feel as a lifer.
That's a great point. There is a unification to this that you can't put a
can't
dollar
put a price on it. You can't make a marketing plan. You can't, you can't buy it.
You can't buy it. That's
you
a very
can
good
for
point.
3/8 cents.
Yeah, I guess you can for 3/8 of a cent.
Sure.
But I see your point. You really can't buy it. And the teams can't say that.
No, they can't.
The
They
teams
look like
can't
fools.
say, hey, this town's
We're
going to
the
hell in a
best we've ever had.
handbasket.
Yeah, right,
This place is getting really screwed lately. The politicians don't know what the hell they're doing in this town anymore. So vote for us because we're the only thing that unifies people anymore in Kansas City and the greater region at large.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a very fair point. But they can never say that, to John's point. So John's a yes.